because that seems to be a little bit easier to chew on than Bursar. You're recording, right?
Yep, we're
great. So we're going to fly through a number of things, and if you have pencil and paper or a computer where you can type some of this information in, that would be to your benefit. I want to give you our contact information first at the Bursar's office, and it is the website is xavier.edu/Bursar, and that's spelled B-U-R-S-A-R. The email address is xubursar@xavier.edu. That's xubursar@xavier.edu. And our phone number to the office is 513-745-3435. And we're there from 8:30 in the morning until 5 at night, Monday through Friday. And if you guys help me to remember, I'll repeat all of that at the very end.
Okay.
So a couple of things I'm going to cover first is that the goal of my office, and for me personally, is to help you as the student to be different when you get out at 22 than when you came in at 17 or 18. If we don't work together, you and I, the people in my office, the people at the university, and your parents, guardian, or anybody else you have at home who is in your support group, if we aren't all working together to help make you different by the time you get out than when you came in, then shame on us. We haven't done our job. So that's the goal. Along with that, unfortunately for some, comes responsibility. And I have told several students and my 3 sons along the way that sometimes it sucks to grow up. But part of that growing up process means that you and we have to take on more responsibility than we had yesterday. So we take on more today. And each day we take on more responsibility. Some of that bleeds into what we do in the Bursar's office. And that means that my customer happens to be the student. You as the student will have a Bursar account in your name with your student ID number, and you own that account. As a result, you have a right to your privacy. As an adult, as soon as you come to college, whether you're 17, 16, or 18 or older, you have a right to your privacy, and this is a federal regulation called FERPA, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and you dictate to us who gains access to your information. So there are 2 things that you can do. One is something called proxy. Proxy is a means by which you can tell us who you want to have access to your Bursar account. You can go into that site and you can put the person's name and what access you want them to have to your academic information. Likewise, you can go to the CashNet e-payment site. Now, CashNet is a vendor we partner with. They help us with our e-billing, which I'll get into here shortly, and our payment process for our payment plans, which I'll also talk about here in a couple of minutes. So CashNet has within their system something called an authorized user. And that is the second place you want to go to set up somebody that you're granting permission to have access to you, in this case, to your financial information. So proxy is more general. It has a broader range of offices and information that you're granting granting permission to somebody to have. And authorized user is a little bit more, or I should say a lot more specific. It deals with your Bursar account information only. So I say those 2 things are critical. The other thing that comes along with being responsible and growing into adulthood is you taking responsibility for your Bursar account. And that means that the phrase, "I let my mom and dad handle this," doesn't really make it with us. As I said, our goal is to help you to grow into independent young adults, citizens, paying taxes when you get out. And if we continue to allow you to keep passing it off to your parent, then that doesn't help any of us attain our goal. So I would encourage you to sign your parents up, your guardians up, your grandparents up as authorized users. If you want to, give them access to the information that you can see on proxy. And yet you tell them what it is that you need. So if a bill is published and you have a due date and a payment needs to be made by that date, contact your parent or whatever agreement you reach with that person and say, I need to have a payment posted to my account by the first of the month. And you drive the bus and let them ride along, and that will help you to take on the responsibility of your Bursar account. Because when you get out, there are going to be bills that you have to pay, rent you have to pay, things like that, and you can't always, for the rest of your life, I guess you could try, say, well, I'm just going to let my mom handle it or my dad handle it. I don't think my kids would have appreciated that if throughout my entire adult life I was saying, oh, I'm going to let grandma handle this. I don't think that they'd like that so much. So let's move on. We're going to talk about the e-bill. We do not publish paper bills, and we do publish, though, e-bills. So these are electronic bills, and if you want to jot this down, we publish bills every single month of the year. So in your particular case, you don't have any e-bills to date from Xavier University, hopefully. And the first one is going to be generated on, well, let me back up. We generate e-bills on the 15th of every month. If the 15th falls on a weekend or a holiday, as it does in July, and that's why I hesitated, the e-bill will be published on the previous business day. So in July, the e-bill would be published on July 14th. The due date is about 2 weeks later on the 1st of August, and there's a late fee that would be assessed if you don't pay. We assess those late fees on the 14th of the month, unless that falls on a holiday or a weekend, in which case it will be pushed back to the business day prior to us publishing a new e-bill on the 15th. To give you an example of sort of an odd situation, but what can still happen, is a late fee could be assessed as early as the 11th of the month because the 15th happens to fall on I think it's a holiday Monday. And if you back it all the way up, it would be the 13th or the 12th that the e-bill would be published, and the 11th that the late fee would be assessed from the previous month. Very confusing, I know. I'm going to run through it one more time. On the 15th of every month, we publish the bill. On the 1st of the next month, the payment is due. On the 14th of that month, we assess a late fee. So all of this is easily found on the Bursar's website, which I gave you earlier was xavier.edu/Bursar. And if you click on frequently asked questions, you're going to be seeing a whole bunch of information that will further explain or remind you of some of the things that I'm covering this evening. So the bill date, the 15th of the month, the due date, the 1st of the next month, and the late fee, the 14th of that month. We also have two payment plans. One you have to sign up for, the other one you don't. The one you don't have to sign up for is what we call the payment in full plan. You get a bill on the 15th of the month, and you look at it, and you pay it by the 1st of the next month. Let's say in July, you pay everything by August 1st, and you think your bill is paid in full, but you get a miscellaneous charge like a library fine or a parking citation, or you go to the health center and a fee gets put on because you had a special test run. You will always want to check your e-bill every single month when you're on the payment in full plan to make sure that your balance is paid in full every single month by the 1st of the next month. So July 15th, it's due August 1st, August 15th is due September 1st, September 15th is October 1st, and on. When it comes to the second type of payment plan, it's called the XFlex payment plan. It takes your balance, divides it by 4, and puts it into 4 monthly installments. Those installments for the fall semester are due August, September, October, and November 1st. For the spring semester, those payments are due January, February, March, and April 1st. I'm going to go over that again. For the fall semester, it's going to be August, September, October, and November, due the 1st of the month. And for the spring semester, it's January through April. There is a $50 enrollment fee to get into the payment plan. That's a $50 fee each semester. So think of it this way. Your charges go onto your Bursar account, and those are going to go on sometime during next week. And then the bill is going to be produced on July 14th, and you're going to be able to see that on the bill. If you go into your account earlier than July 14th, you can certainly see all of your charges there on your account. They just won't be in they won't be produced into a bill yet until the 14th of July. So your charges go on your account. If you have financial aid, some of that goes on, and you've got this difference here to pay. So the payment plan, the XFlex payment plan, takes this difference, divides it by 4, and puts it into 4 monthly installments for you. Keep in mind, though, that if you increase your bill, increase your balance on your Bursar account, let's say you're in a one meal plan and you go to a more expensive one, or you go to a less expensive one, or you're in a room that's a double and you want to go into a triple, or you want to go into a single. These fluctuations are going to take place on your bill throughout the month, and the payment plan will adjust your monthly payment accordingly. So just keep that in mind. If you see your monthly payment change a little bit, it's probably because you added something, you deleted something, something took place on your account, and you can go into the e-payment site and take a look to see what took place. One of the things that we do, I mentioned that charges go onto your account, and financial aid, if you happen to be a financial aid recipient, will go on. Or let's say your parent makes a payment and pays it off in full, and then somebody else, like a grandparent or some sort of friend, makes a payment to your account as a gift, and it overpays your account. So this overpayment could come from financial aid overpaying your account, or it could come from additional payments, maybe outside scholarships coming in from Kiwanis or PTA or Boy Scouts, some sort of organization from your high school, and it overpays your account. So this is called a credit balance. It's going to appear in parentheses on your bill. Whenever you see a parentheses on your bill, it just means a negative number. So you could have a charge on your account and then a credit on your account for the same amount, and one would not have parentheses and the other one would. So this overpayment that I'm discussing now, we go through a refund process every Wednesday, and we refund our credit balances back to our student, back to our customer. So keep in mind, I know parents will sometimes tell me, well, I'm paying the bill, I should be the one that gets the refund. Well, you can get the refund, and I'll go into that in a second. And you might think that you as a parent, if you're a parent out there, that you have complete access and rights to your students' information. Well, you do, only if they completed a proxy and or an authorized user form on the website. Otherwise, we're not going to give the information out. So this refund process that we go through every week gets refunded electronically. And sometime throughout this summer, you should be receiving from a company called Bank Mobile a bright green envelope. And that green envelope will give you the instructions you need to sign up so that your refunds, if you ever get any, can be refunded electronically straight to an existing checking or savings account that you have. Or if you wanted to, if the agreement you have with your parent or guardian is to have the money refunded back to their account, you can enter their banking information instead of yours. So whatever agreement you reach, enter your banking information and you're good to go. Your refund would electronically go from Bank Mobile to your checking or savings account. Now, if you don't think that you're going to have a refund at all, maybe this semester, I'd still go ahead and enter the information, because at some point in time throughout your 8 semesters, the chances are typically that there might be at some point in time a credit balance on your account. So that would already be set up and you wouldn't have to worry about that in the future. If you choose not to have it sent to you electronically into your existing checking or savings, you can sign up for what's called a Bank Mobile Vibe checking account. It's an account that's offered by Bank Mobile, and they would just transfer the money straight from Bank Mobile into that Bank Mobile checking account, Bank Mobile Vibe checking account on that Wednesday. And because they would also give you, send you a debit card, a debit MasterCard that's associated with that account, you can go to the Bank Mobile ATM that we have on campus and pull out up to $500 a day out of that ATM, as long as you have that amount of credit posted to your Bursar account and what was refunded to you. So you can't have a $20 refund and go to the ATM and try and get $500 out. It doesn't work. Evans tried it, didn't you? Yeah. So that's how the refund process works. Again, out on xavier.edu/Bursar, you'll be able to see much of what I've discussed with regard to refunds, proxy, and the FERPA information and e-bills. I think one of the things that you really have to pay attention to is reading. In this day and age, so much is visual, and it's really difficult for me at times to even just calm down and to read information. By not doing that, odds are you might miss something. One thing that is what I think is critical is there is a charge that's going to go onto your Bursar account probably next week sometime, and you'll see it on your bill when it's produced in July. It's a mandatory health insurance charge. It's in the amount of $2,690. Now, our Board of Trustees has given us the directive that they want all full-time undergraduate students to be covered under a major medical health insurance plan, just in case something goes wrong. So they, or we, I should say, the McGrath Health and Wellness Center that manages this program, they automatically send to my office a charge to every full-time undergraduate student, and this charge is going to be $2,690 this year for this major medical plan that runs from August 15th of 2017 all the way to August 14th of 2018. If you don't want that because you are covered under somebody else's major medical health insurance plan, then there is a way to waive that. And again, if you're not reading information, there are people, believe it or not, who miss this, and then they miss the deadline of being able to waive it, and they're stuck with paying a $2,600 bill, an amount that they never expected and never had to pay. So there is a way to waive this. There's an online waiver site that will become active sometime next week where you can go in and waive the insurance. It may require you to upload some information. This year is a little bit new because we have a new insurance company called United Healthcare that's managing the health insurance, and we have another group called AHP who is helping us manage the waiver process. So go into the waive website. I think it's going to be xavier.edu/waive, and once that opens up, enter information. You may have to upload a copy of the front and back of your health insurance card, and then that will give them the information they need to hopefully waive that $2,690 charge to your account. The sooner you do that, the better. And it's only one time a year that it gets done, and it's going to be done. It's going to be charged every fall semester. So you want to be looking at this for the next 4 years, sometime during the June, July, August timeframe. The deadline to waive is going to be September 22nd. So get it done early so you can get that off your plate. If you do it early enough, I'm thinking before probably July 10th, then what you'll see is you can go into your Bursar account, take a look at the charge, do your waiver, and within a couple of days, 24 to 48 hours, that credit will come onto the account to cancel out the charge. And then you'll be able to see on your July 14th bill, not only the charge, but also the credit, which will show up in parentheses for that charge. The way to get into your Bursar account before the bill is published is to go to the Student Hub. Now, I don't know how many of you have access to the Student Hub or have been to the Student Hub. Have they already been?
They all have access. I don't know if they've been, but they all have access.
Good. If you go to xavier.edu/students, That's what we call the Student Hub. And you'll see a number of icons on that landing page when you get there. And there's one called Pay Bill. If you click on that, you'll be able to log in using your username and password. And I think your username has already been given to you, and you know your password. You enter that, you'll be able to get in to see the e-payment site. There's a bunch of information, again, that'll be important for you to read about the fall semester, and Heather in my office will be updating that probably next week. You'll want to read that information. The information to waive the insurance is going to be there. Sign up for an electronic 1098-T, which is a tax form that you'll need later on. So there are a number of things that you can do just straight from that website. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see your balance due, and once the charges are assessed next week, you'll see what your balance is. That balance takes into consideration any financial aid that Xavier University knows about. If there's a scholarship coming from the PTA or Kiwanis or the Boys and Girls Club, someplace outside of Xavier, that's not going to be taken into consideration unless it has already posted to your Bursar account. Right below your balance is a link that says click here to view activity since your last e-bill. Now, of course, you've never had an e-bill in the past, but just like your checking account or a credit card, MasterCard, Visa, I can go online to my accounts and I can see what activity has taken place since my last bill. So you can do the same thing with your Bursar account. Starting next week, you can take a look at the activity before a bill is generated, and you should be able to see all of your tuition, any type of payment or credit that has come in. And while it doesn't show your financial aid, so it might have a balance due of $25,000, the balance due on the landing page, on the previous page, is going to have something less because it takes the financial aid into consideration. So any questions with that, you can certainly contact our office or call Evan directly at home, especially if it's after 11 p.m. He really likes those kinds of calls.
I will gladly help you.
Yes, you will. So let's move on here. So reading is important. Bursar website I told you about, frequently asked questions. A couple of things about financial aid. On your financial aid award letter, you've probably seen something that says FWS or Federal Work Study. I want you to know that Federal Work Study does not go towards paying down your Bursar account. The financial aid office is telling you that you qualify for federal aid, Federal Work Study, but what that means is on the first day of school, there is a career fair that's still held in Cintas.
Yep, and actually this is also new. You can now do it earlier. I forget the exact date, Mike, you know. So there is an online career fair that happens, I believe it's in July sometime, and you can either go on and get jobs that way, or the first day of school, as Henry was saying, there's also a chance to do the career fair.
Great. It's posted on our website, the date, so you can search virtual career fair or career fair.
Okay.
And you can find information on our website.
Good deal. The point in that is to get a job on campus through Federal Work Study. Once you get the job, then you work the hours, you get a paycheck, and then you get to do with that money whatever it is you want. And hopefully a portion of that, if not all of that, will go to help pay down your Bursar account if you have a balance due. I think it's important, yes, for you to have skin in the game. As a student, take responsibility and help to pay for your education. Some people do it with loans. Some people do it through summer jobs that they get. Some do it through work study. Whatever you can do to help minimize and keep your Bursar account balance paid off is going to be to your advantage. Whatever you can do to graduate with as little debt as possible, that's to your advantage. One point in that, I told you about charges going on and financial aid going on. Let's say it exceeds the charges. If this financial aid happens to be loans, you can email the financial aid office and tell them to take back a certain amount of the loans that you might have from the federal government so that it equals the amount of your charges. Now, I did mention that refunds go back to my customer who is the student. There's one exception to that, and that's if your parent takes out a Parent Plus loan, then they become the borrower of that loan. and they have the ability during the application process to indicate that they want any overpayment on your Bursar account to go back to you, the student, instead of to them. If they don't indicate that, then that overpayment that results as a that comes about as a result of the Parent Plus loan will go back to your parent because they are the borrower on that loan. So that's how federal work study works. Get the job, get a paycheck, and pay it to the Bursar. I like that. It actually, to your Bursar account, is to your benefit. Also, your financial aid award letter talks about loans. If you have loans on your financial aid award letter, keep in mind that the small print on the master promissory note talks about an administrative fee that the Department of Education withholds. So if you have a loan from a Stafford loan from the Department of Education, and it might be for $1,000, they're going to probably disperse only $990 because they're going to keep $10 as their administrative cost. So financial aid is important for you to keep track of, for you to manage well. There are two things that have to be done for the financial aid to disperse to your account on time, and that is the master promissory note and the entrance counseling, both done online. Some folks will get selected for verification. That can delay the disbursement of federal money. So if you happen to be selected for verification, get that done as soon as possible. I mentioned that I have 3 sons. They happen to be triplet boys. They're 33 years old, and they are out in the world paying taxes. They have jobs. They went to 3 different colleges in 3 different states. And one of the things that we did while they were in school is they got loans, some government loans. And on the unsubsidized loan, which actually all loans have interest, and I don't mean to get into too much financial aid here, you guys, but just a little bit. All loans accrue interest over time. The subsidized loan, the government pays the interest while you, the student, are in school. The unsubsidized, the government does not pay the interest. So when my kids were in school, and anybody today in school with an unsubsidized loan, the government will, well, back then they mailed something to my home, but these days they probably email something to you saying that your unsubsidized loan has accrued $225 worth of interest over the last 3 months. What they sent me looked like a bill, but across it, it said this is not a bill. But it specifically said $220 had accrued for interest over the last 3 months. So what I did is I took that opportunity to contact my sons, and I said, how do you want to do this? Do you want to pay the $220? Do you want me to pay it, or do you want to partner? You pay a portion, I pay a portion. And whatever we decided is what we did. I would tear off the stub, send in a check, so that by the time they got out of school, the only thing they had to pay on was the principal amount, was the amount that they borrowed, not the accrued interest. So part of our mission here is to help students graduate with as little debt as possible. And one way to do that is pay accrued interest as it accrues. So if you happen to get a job on campus or off campus while you're here, and you earn some money, and you have an unsubsidized loan or any kind of loan, feel free to take some of that money or all that money and start paying it back early so that you graduate with as little debt as possible. The financial aid office and the Bursar's office, we talk almost in the same terms, but sometimes not. One of those situations where we don't typically talk the same language is when the financial aid office says, we're going to give you a loan or give you a grant or a scholarship for $2,000. You might think that it's $2,000 for the fall semester, $2,000 for the spring semester. And that's not the case. The financial aid office typically talks in terms of academic year. So they talk in terms of fall and spring semester, unless you unless they specifically say it's for one semester or you specifically ask for clarification. So if I heard somebody from the financial aid office say that you got a loan or a scholarship for $2,000, automatically I'd say, okay, that's $1,000 for fall and $1,000 for spring. And especially if it's a loan, a government loan, I know it's not going to be exactly $1,000. It's going to be slightly less than that because the government's going to withhold their fee. So just be aware of the difference in terminology. You want to make sure that the message you're getting is clear from them and that you're clear in what they're explaining. This little tip was given to me by a friend of mine who works at Sallie Mae. He said if a student, now this is about 2 years old, so you might want to check this out. If a student is 100 miles or more away from home with no car, then they might get a distant driver discount. So parents and students, you want to take a look at your insurance policy, talk to your agent, and see, depending upon what your situation is, are you going to have a car on campus, not on campus? While you're away, is there any kind of reduction in insurance premiums while you're gone? That's pretty much about it. That covers a whole bunch of things. Let me just say that outside scholarships should come to the Bursar's office and not to the financial aid office. Those are the Kiwanis and PTA and Boys Club, Girls Club scholarships. Parents who want to pay with a 529 plan can pay online. That's one thing I haven't covered yet. You can pay online. We have a whole list of 529 plans, and for a $10 fee, you can have the money electronically transferred from the 529 plan straight into your student's Bursar account. If your plan is not listed on that list, then you can just contact them directly and have them send the money to Xavier. Just be sure to include the student's ID number and name in that transaction, and we will post it. I wanted to talk about, there was something else, payment online. We highly encourage you to pay online. We accept electronic checks, which we call e-checks. This is not unlike anything else these days online where you can pay by check. You just enter your banking information and Xavier will go to that checking account and pull the money and put it right onto the student's Bursar account. Excuse me. The nice thing about that is it posts to the Bursar account immediately. There is something called, it's not bank by mail, but some banks have bill pay options where I could tell my bank to, on the 30th of the month, to send a check to Xavier for X amount of dollars. Well, what happens is the bank will pull the money immediately out of my account, and then they'll create a check and mail that check. So just be aware, if you do that, it doesn't post immediately to the account because we have to wait to the Bursar account because we have to wait for the check to get created, mailed, and received here and then posted to the account manually. Some parents have called up and said, well, you took the money out of my account, but you didn't post the payment to my student's account. Well, that's because the bank will pull the money out of your account immediately, and then they'll create a check, send it out in the mail, and by the time we cash it, it might be 7 days later or so. And then you'll see it posted to the student's Bursar account. The other payment we accept online is credit cards, American Express, Discover, Visa, MasterCard. Some people really get excited and want to pay the tuition on credit by the credit card so that they can get flight points, airline points, and things like that. But there's a 2.75% convenience fee. So whatever you charge, just multiply that by 2.75%, and that's the fee that you will be charged in addition to the amount that you are trying to pay. Xavier doesn't get that convenience fee. I wish we did, but it goes to our merchant processor, and that's just call it a convenience fee or call it an inconvenience fee. That's what I would call it. But nonetheless, that has to get paid if you pay by credit card online. It's a secure site. We do everything electronically. I do want to talk about the bills. I told you that you can sign somebody up as an authorized user and that we bill on the 15th of every month. When we publish a bill, you as the student and any authorized user that you have will get an email saying a bill has been published. You can go ahead and view it. So you would want to go in and take a look at the bill and decide, are you going to pay it in full, or did you already sign up for the payment plan, which you can do even before this July 15th bill if you want to, and make your first payment. So that first payment will be due by August 1st. So take a look at the bill and get ready to make a fourth of your payment if you're on the payment plan, the XFlex payment plan, or to pay your balance in full if you're on the pay in full plan. Trying to think of what else. There was something else associated with the bill that crossed my mind. If you need to print it out, you can certainly do that on page 2. There's a remittance stub that you can send in with your check if you want to mail in a check instead. And
can you use a debit card that's connected to a checking account to pay your bill?
yeah, I believe you can use a debit card. I know a couple of years ago they had not permitted that. I would say go ahead and try it. I personally haven't done that, but I'm pretty sure that they have fixed that so that you can. I'm 100% sure that it's fixed and that you can do it. If not,
I do it, so.
oh, so yeah, if you can't do it, call Mike.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to all of your awesome questions. All right. Can you talk a little bit about billing for someone receiving GI benefits?
Sure. GI benefits, first of all, thanks for serving. Thanks for going that route. We have an assistant bursar in our office by the name of Mason Rick. And this is a man you want to get to know. Mason served 4 years in the Army. He was a captain. And then he actually is a Xavier graduate, undergraduate. And he married a Xavier graduate. And his 10-month-old daughter is going to become a Xavier graduate someday. But he went into the military through our ROTC program, and he is highly familiar with everything GI, ROTC, VA. You bring him the paperwork, and he'll make sure that it gets processed. He works closely with, I think it's Laura Stith in the financial aid office, who manages the military benefits that way. And between Mason and Laura, they'll certainly take good care of you. So be sure to see Mason Rick. I can't remember his email address. It's probably Rick M. I think it is Rick M. Might be Rick M3. You'd want to double check that at xavier.edu. But his phone number is 513-745-4832. I think the other thing I wanted to ask about is, you said that students have their user ID, and I don't know if you know what your Xavier email address is, but it's your user ID at xavier.edu. So if you were wondering about that, that's what it is.
And it should have been one of the steps in Road to Xavier you created. Start checking it if you haven't already. Make sure you're checking it. Information is probably already in there from the various offices like academic advising, housing, and soon to be Bursar.
Yeah, we have started sending emails to your student email address, so you definitely should be checking that.
Yeah, what you're describing is so critical. Xavier uses the xavier.edu email address as the official channel of communicating with you, the student. So many of you might have a high school email address or a personal email address. That's all well and good, but you need to start transitioning over, or thinking about not necessarily moving all of your email over to Xavier necessarily, but looking at your Xavier email address every day. Likewise, you're on Road to Xavier now. It's going to be important for you to start combining Road to Xavier with the Student Hub and looking at the information there.
So email notifications for bills will be sent to xavier.edu emails.
Right, and it will go to any authorized user email address, even though they don't have a Xavier email address. So your mom or dad may not have, well, they won't have a xavier.edu, but they might have Yahoo or Gmail or what have you. We'll send it there, but students always to the xavier.edu.
All right. Is there a discount for paying 2017 in full?
Golly, I wish there were, but there isn't. So no.
Could you please explain the difference between the payment in full plan and the XFlex plan in short one more time.
Sure. Okay. So next, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Come July 14th, a bill will be produced, and there will typically be a balance due. So this is the bucket called balance due. You have two choices. You can pay this balance in full, and you're done for that month. Every month, though, you want to check the bill when it comes out on the 15th of the month to see if any miscellaneous charges have come onto the account. The reason I emphasize this is because some people believe that the July 15th bill is a large amount, and therefore if they pay it on or before August 1st in full, that they're done for the semester. And that's not true. It could be true, but it might not be true, because miscellaneous charges can come onto the account depending upon your behavior. It's not unlike a MasterCard. A MasterCard, you might go ahead and buy a $25,000 car and put it on your MasterCard, and when the bill comes due, you might pay that in full. But then after you pay that in full, you have other behaviors like filling the car up with gas or going out to a restaurant and putting these charges on your credit card. You need to look at those subsequent bills and pay those balances in full. So that's the payment in full plan. You look at every bill that's produced, and if there is a balance due, you pay that balance on or before the due date. Period, the end. Balance in full. Let's talk about the XFlex plan. Balance due, you sign up for the XFlex plan through that e-payment site. I'm going to back up here. You go to the Student Hub, you log in, and you click the pay bill icon, you log in, and if you're the parent, hopefully your student has signed you up to be an authorized user. As an authorized user, you have your own username and password. You go into that e-payment site. So one of you, the parent or the student, can go in and sign up on the right-hand side for the XFlex payment plan. By doing that, there's a $50 charge, which has to be paid up front, and it will take this balance and divide it into 4 installment payments. And it'll show you a table of how much is due when. So it'll show you a fourth of the balance is due on August 1st, a fourth on September 1st, a fourth on October 1st, and a fourth on November 1st. Keep in mind that if you sign up for the XFlex payment plan after August 1st, then it's going to force you to pay the $50 enrollment fee plus the first payment because it will have been due already and it hadn't been paid. So it'll catch you up to be current. So I hope that helps. If that does not help, please go to the frequently asked questions on the Bursar's website, or you can text us back here, just write us again and say that was clear as mud. Tell them to do it again. I'm open to do that.
Next question we have is, with regards to federal loans, if you do not want to take out the loan, where do you indicate this?
Great question. And that's being really attentive to what your financial needs are. And again, working to graduate with as little debt as possible. So to not take a loan, you want to send an email to xufinaid, that's xufinaid @xavier.edu. Give them your name and your student ID number, and tell them that you don't want whatever loan it is, or you don't want all of that loan. You only want this amount of the loan, and tell them to send the rest back, and that's what they'll do.
And these are federal loans that you were approved for, eligible for through FAFSA. So if you filled out the FAFSA.
Right. If you fill out the FAFSA, then the financial aid office automatically puts together a package based on the FAFSA information that will give you a subsidized loan, an unsubsidized loan, they don't do Perkins anymore, but a sub or unsub loan, plus any scholarships, awards, grants, those kinds of things, which you never want to tell them to take those things away, because grants, scholarships, awards, you don't have to pay back. Those are good money.
All right, next is going to talk about work study. Are on-campus jobs only to those who have work study, and you have to qualify for work study?
Okay. You don't have to qualify for work study other than being interviewed. Just like any other job, you want to have your resume ready, you want to dress appropriately, and you want to have a good interview. And hopefully your skill sets or your personality will fit that particular job, and the person you're interviewing with will hire you. So you don't really have to qualify. Go ahead, Evan.
There are two. So federal work study is something you'll get through the government. So through the FAFSA, you have to qualify. Now,
Now, what do you mean by qualify? Through the FAFSA, you have to
through the
qualify.
FAFSA, you have to qualify for federal work study.
But some people
this is
may
the-
qualify, but they have a limited amount of federal work study to disperse or to hand out. Is that what you were going to say?
So I was saying just because you don't qualify for work study or didn't receive it in your financial aid package doesn't mean you can't get a job on campus.
Right. You can always get a job on campus if there's a position that you interview for and you get. There are federal work study jobs and non-federal work study jobs, and both are available. There are also some non-federal work study jobs, of course, available off campus, just right nearby, Starbucks, etc.
And students usually have if they're not federal work study, there are a good amount of opportunities to work here on campus or in the surrounding neighborhood area. There's quite a few students who are very successful finding jobs that way if they're not work study.
I agree. I want to clarify one thing that you and I went back and forth on, Evan, and that was federal work study. By completing the FAFSA, that will determine whether or not they qualify for federal work study. But everybody who qualifies won't necessarily be awarded federal work study because there's only so much to be handed out.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And you do have to do the work to apply to the job, come to the fairs, and whatnot. We don't automatically give you a job with federal work study.
Right. Okay.
How do you transfer from a 529 college savings plan to Bursar if doing a pay in full plan?
So what you'll want to do is take a look at that bill on the 14th, and I guess you could even do it a little bit earlier. I know that most of the charges are going to be placed next week onto the Bursar account. I know that some other charges will be placed a little bit later, probably after maybe the 8th or the 10th of July. So you want to look at your account as close to the bill date as possible, or wait for that bill. And then, as I said, you can go online to the e-payment site, and if your 529 plan is listed in that list of 529 plans, then for a $10 fee, you can just click on that and they will transfer the money. You'll enter some information and it will transfer the money electronically from your 529 plan to your student's Bursar account. If you don't want to do it that way, or your 529 plan is not on that list, then contact your 529 plan directly and just tell them that you want to have X amount of dollars, whatever the total is of that bill, sent to Xavier University, and be sure the student ID number and name is associated with that transaction.
All right. Does Xavier have a specific bank, and do most students keep their parents' insurance, or do they buy Xavier's?
Okay. Xavier has a U.S. bank branch on campus in the Gallagher Student Center. So if I had to encourage you to go with any bank, I would say if you don't have a checking account or a savings account right now with your bank at home, then I would say go to this U.S. bank on campus. When you get here, open up an account. We have a great relationship with them. They're a great partner with Xavier, and they do a fantastic job. That would probably help to simplify a bunch of things for you. They also have several ATMs on campus. While we don't have a bank branch on campus, we do have a Fifth Third ATM on campus, and I think that's the only other one is Fifth Third Bank. Do we have a PNC Bank over by Coleman
I
Hussman?
think so, yeah.
There might be a PNC Bank ATM on campus, but no branch. U.S. Bank is the only one. What was the other question about? Oh, insurance.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people do not purchase the health insurance. The vast majority waive that insurance. I would say find out what the cost is of the insurance that you or your parent might currently be paying for the current major medical health insurance plan. What portion of that is yours, the student? What portion of the premium of the cost of that policy is yours? And then compare that to the $2,690 for the annual premium on this major medical health insurance plan. The other thing to compare, not only price, is coverage. You want to look at deductibles, and you want to look at what does it really cover, because it's not, sometimes it's you get what you pay for. So just be careful of that.
Please explain the way TRIO works as far as balances. If parents took out a PLUS loan to cover the balance.
So TRIO is a government-sponsored program, and you correct me on anything that I say wrong, because I think I'm right on everything.
So far, you're good.
Start, good start.
So TRIO is a government-sponsored program, and our TRIO office I think you have to qualify to get into it. A lot of times it's going to be what we call a first gen. That's a first generation student. There might be some other qualifications that might get you into the TRIO program, might be lower income or higher financial need or disability. What are the things get you into TRIO?
You actually said all three of them.
Oh, really?
So it's one of three things. It's income based for lower income families. If you have a documented disability, or if you are a first generation student, you can qualify for TRIO.
So TRIO then holds what I call continuing education. They hold classes and seminars outside of your normal credit hours for school. And as long as you participate in that program, go to those programs, and you learn about these things, then TRIO will decide whether or not to give you some money. Now, I think their scholarship might be in the range of $500 or $1,000. It depends.
It can range to a few $1,000s.
Okay.
There are students who receive more than $1,000. Those funds don't get dispersed until after your first year, I believe.
Yeah, it's towards the end of the year. They want to see that you've participated first before they give you the money. Yeah. So if you're going to be a part of TRIO, I say, if you qualify, go for it, because I think it's a great program. You'll learn a lot. But you cannot wait to pay your bill waiting for that TRIO money to come in. You can't do that. You're going to have to balance that out.
That comes after you go to the seminars, the meetings, the academic advising. You have to do all those things. And if you don't do those things, then you may not qualify for funds from the government through the TRIO program. If you do have questions about TRIO and you think you might qualify for it, you can definitely contact your admissions counselor, and you can find your admission counselor online if you don't already know who that is.
One thing, thanks for that. One thing that I thought of while you were talking about that, there's a process that I think it's important for you to know about. It's not really a great process, and not too many people get caught up in it, but I think it's something that you ought to know about. The university will do what's called cancellation, and that will take place on the 9th of August. So think about this. You're registered for classes. You get a bill on July 14th. Your due date is the 1st of August. On the 2nd of August, the Bursar's office is going to start collecting the names of people who have not yet paid their bill or not yet made 1/4 of the payment to their account, and start sending out emails saying you're at risk of class cancellation, because this class cancellation is for non-payment. Don't be concerned about that from the standpoint of going crazy. Your hair doesn't have to catch on fire. But what it is saying is that you need to do something, and you're going to have to do it quickly, because on the 9th, if you have not paid your balance in full, or you have not paid 1/4 of your balance and signed up for the X-Flex payment plan, then your classes will get canceled. And that's not really a fun thing to go through, because then you have to fight tooth and nail to try and get your classes back, get back into your classes once you take care of your financial situation. Oftentimes, people who get caught up in this are people who have financial aid awarded to them, but they never sign the online master promissory note or sign the online entrance counseling.
Next question, if a Parent Plus loan is taken out, when does it have to be repaid? And can you explain how much can be taken out in the Parent Plus loan?
Probably no and no. That's really a question for the financial aid office. I can sort of go through some of this of what I know, and Michael help me here. By filling out the FAFSA, the financial aid counselor here will know how much the student can borrow, and that includes how much can be borrowed on a Parent Plus loan. So there's going to be a limit to how much can be borrowed. When it comes to repayment, and I was going to say, I think the Parent Plus loan, do they require a credit check?
They do. So the Parent Plus loan is actually, it's separate from FAFSA. So you would have to seek out the parent, you would have to seek out the Parent Plus loan outside of FAFSA if you'd like to use the Parent Plus loan to pay off the remaining balance that federal grants or scholarships don't pay, or the student loans that you have don't pay for. A parent can go online, you can go to look up Parent Plus loan. It'll take you to the financial aid website of the government's federal website.
Yeah, it might be studentloans.gov.
Yeah,
studentloans.gov.
And parents can apply for a loan. That loan is in their name and it's based on their credit scores. So if parents aren't approved for that loan, I'm just giving you more information. If parents aren't approved for that loan, they can take out a co-signer for that loan as well. And you can also contact financial aid and or your admission counselor to find out more information. But it is separate and it can be taken out for the remainder of the balance that you have. So that's after grants, that's after any federal loans, student loans that you already took out. It's the remainder balance.
And the parent is the borrower of that loan, not the student. When it comes to repayment, I think that there might be somebody told me that 6-month grace period before it has to start being repaid. I thought somebody had told me that they changed that and it's deferred until repayment is deferred until they get out of college, but that's not true, is it? That seems like if they're borrowing it every year, that seems like that's a heck of a lot of money they're deferring into the future. I don't know about that.
And I'm not a financial aid counselor, but from my knowledge, the student loans through FAFSA that you've been approved for 6 months after your graduation date, you need to start paying back.
Right.
From my knowledge as well, the Parent Plus loan can be added to each year. So you don't, in the Parent Plus loan, have to pay it off starting after your freshman year, right? If you apply for it again.
Right, but I thought it might have been 6 months after the parent borrowed it. So by December, they're starting to make payments, let's say, on that. Do you know anything about the Parent Plus? No.
Sorry, I haven't been.
Right, you don't. Thanks. You've been doing other things.
I've been figuring out other answers for other people.
Okay.
There's a great fact sheet online at this studentloans.gov that'll talk to you about the Parent Plus loan, and you can also contact financial aid or your admission counselor. We can talk more about that later.
Okay. One thing I wanted to point out is there's a question here that can you choose to pay ahead and not have money returned to you? The answer to that is yes, but a couple of things. One is, remember, if you pay ahead, you can certainly pay ahead on your payment plan. And as long as you have a balance due and you keep paying ahead on that, that's good. There's no downside to doing that. You just don't want to pay late. Paying ahead, great. If you ever end up with a credit balance, this overpayment, then it's automatically going to be credited back to you. Everybody say goodbye to Evan. He's trying to sneak out the door. He cannot sneak
Good
out.
luck, everyone. We're here to help, and I'll see you guys in August.
Tell him where you're going.
I'm going to class.
Yeah, I know. See you. And you're late.
Yeah.
Bye. He's working on his master's, so he's off.
If a student was awarded a Xavier scholarship, when will that appear on the bill?
That should, well, it'll appear on the bill when the bill is generated, but you should be able to see that online through the Student Hub and the Pay Bill icon, and you click on that link that says click here to look at activity since your last e-bill. Let's see, no, you won't see it there, but it'll be taken into consideration. The best place to look before the bill is to look at your Xavier financial aid award letter. That's where it will appear. Once the bill comes, it'll be on the bill as anticipated credit. Now, keep in mind, the financial aid office can only disperse money 10 days or less prior to the start of school. School starts August 21st. So they're going to actually put the money onto your account on the Friday before school starts. I think that might be the 19th, 21, 29, the 18th of, yeah, I think it's the 18th of August.
17th of August.
17th of
Classes
August?
start the 21st.
Yeah, so it's going to be the 18th of August, which is a Friday. Got the calendar right there.
There you go. There you
Okay, I'm good. Calendar, we're good.
go.
Okay, so because the government says you can only disperse money as you get closer to the start of school, what we do here is on the bill for July and on the bill for August, if you get financial aid, you're going to see that financial aid as anticipated credits or anticipated financial aid. You're going to see that on the bill, and it's going to take the charges, and you're going to see anticipated money. So that is where you're going to see your Xavier scholarship is in that anticipated money. And if it's not there, you want to contact the financial aid office. And then you're going to see the net amount that's due. There is a video that was produced. I don't know where it is right now. It might be on Road to Xavier, called eBill 101. And if you're able to find that on Road to Xavier, if it's out there already, it's 6 minutes and 58 seconds of me showing you how to read your bill. And on that bill, you'll be able to see that sample bill. You'll be able to see the anticipated financial aid.
Yeah, and you can always go to Road to Xavier and click on the Money Matters tab, and we have a breakdown of these are estimated costs for the year, as well as what awards you've received or scholarships you've received, as well as grants from the government and loans that you're eligible for from the government if you filled up the FAFSA. It's important to remember that your Xavier scholarship or Xavier award, when you're told what it is, say you received $17,000 a year, again, that's in financial aid terms. That's a full academic year. When you're looking at your bill, that's going to be separated into 2 semesters. So say you received $14,000 Xavier award. When you see the bill and when you see how it's dispersed, $7,000 first semester, $7,000 second semester, not $14,000 first semester.
Right.
So when you see that, don't be scared. We haven't lowered your Xavier scholarship or your Xavier award. It's separated into 2 semesters. That's how Bursar works.
Yeah, and that's how financial aid works, because financial aid talks in this term,
Talks
and
in
we
the
talk
full
in
year.
half the term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had
So-
covered that earlier, but it's a great reminder. The other thing, when it comes to outside scholarships, let's say the PTA sends a student or says the student's going to get a scholarship for $1,000 and they want 500 of it for the fall semester and 500 of it for the spring semester. We don't have any means of separating that into 2 semesters. So we apply all $1,000 to the fall semester. It's sort of a pay now, pay later type of thing. And we give the credit immediately in the fall semester. More questions. What is the service fee if you pay by debit card? I think that's counted exactly like a credit card.
$5.
No.
You pay with a debit card, I believe it is.
It depends on, it should depend on
per
the
transaction.
Yeah, per transaction, based on the amount of the transaction. I think the debit card is still 2.75%
I think you're correct on that.
as the convenience fee based on how much you charge, because all debit cards have either a MasterCard or a Visa logo on them.
There you
So they're treated like a credit card.
go. Let's see.
Let's see. This isn't a question, but just to say thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome. I'm glad you learned. There's a lot to know.
Is the virtual job fair for just federal work study candidates or any students wanting a job on campus? That's going to be federal work study. If you want a job at Cintas Center, for example, or through cafeteria, Hoff Dining Commons, those are not work study jobs. And they might have postings separately. Cintas, for example, is a separate organization in a lot of ways, so they post things differently. The federal work study jobs on campus are designated for federal work study students, with a few exceptions, but those are entry-level pre-professional jobs where you earn a lot of job skills, and they're designated just for federal work study students.
But
and that's what.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the online fair, I believe,
Just federal work study.
It's just federal work study. There might be a few exceptions in there, but Non-federal work-study jobs on campus may post throughout the year.
And I think they
And-
may even
and
have
other
this job
places.
fair. Aren't they going to have an actual in-person job fair?
They will at the in-person job fair.
Yeah, the
when you
first day of
start.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those jobs might be posted throughout the year. They might be, physical flyers that are still on campus jobs. They're just not federal work study jobs.
Correct.
Let's see.
Is that overpayment for the semester? Mary, I'm not quite sure what you mean. Is that overpayment for the semester? I think maybe your question is like this. I'm talking about the bill in July. That's going to be just for the fall semester. So if an overpayment occurs sometime in July or August or September or October or November, then yeah, that's going to be for the fall semester. It's not for the year, it's just the fall semester. The bill for the spring semester is going to be generated on December 15th. So with a payment due date of January 1st. So we will assess spring semester charges sometime after the 15th of November. They'll show up on the December 15th bill and due on January 1st. So we just sort of repeat what we're doing now later on this year in preparation for the spring semester.
We have a really good question here. All of the questions are good, but one that a lot of students do ask, are housing and meal plan charges run through the bursar's office? And I'll add in there also, are insurance charges from the school, if you use the student's health insurance, are those handled through the bursar's office?
Yes. The meal plans, the residence life, the housing, and the mandatory health insurance all go through the bursar's office. We also have parking citations that go through the bursar's office, library fines, and on occasion, the health center will put a charge through the Bursar account. Now, if you go up to the health center, we've partnered with TriHealth. You'll need to show them your insurance card, whether it's the Xavier insurance or your own insurance that you have currently through a parent, maybe through their employer. You would show your insurance card. And if the insurance covers everything, then there's no charge that's going to come through the Bursar's account at all for those health charges. Hope that answers your question.
Let's see, we have time for one more question. Let's see.
So I see a couple others, and I don't mind staying later if you have the time. It's up to you to get all the questions answered. I was going to hit that one there, right there. It says, how do you handle tuition reimbursement coming from another university? It really depends on the university. How do they handle it? Will they simply take a look at your bill that you give them on July 14th and they'll cut a check to Xavier University and send it in with your name and your student ID number on it? If so, perfect, that's great. If not, then you'll need to get some sort of documentation from them and say, ABC University is going to pay Jimmy's tuition and fees for the fall semester 2017 and submit a bill to this address. So we do have something called third-party billing where Mason Rick in my office, he and his staff manage those third-party bills. And as long as you have the appropriate documentation, then we will go ahead and bill that university and they'll send a check to us. But we prefer not to do it that way because the process is super slow. The best thing to do is to have that university cut a check immediately as soon as our bill is produced and send it to us or to you, made out to Xavier, and we'll post it to your account.
So we sort of answered this earlier, but if we want to overpay and let money build, can we do that without being refunded?
The answer is yes. Thanks for getting back to that. We don't like to do that because of two reasons. One, from a selfish perspective, it's a liability to the university, meaning I owe you money because it's held on your account and we're holding on to it. But the other part is this is a great opportunity for you as the student to manage money, to learn how to manage your money. So if you have an overpayment of $2,000 and your intention is to use 500 of that to buy books and 500 of that to for pizza or whatever, you can put all of it into a checking account that you have or a new one at US Bank, and you manage that money. You put that money in and you pay for your books, and then you manage that money so that by the end of the semester, hopefully you have a bunch of it left over, and you apply it towards your next semester. So I don't recommend that you tell us to keep your money. It's your money, you should keep it. You should learn to manage it. As I said, it's a liability to us, which is neither here nor there to me. But if you do absolutely want to keep it on, then you'll have to send an email to our office, xubursar@xavier.edu, and tell us to put a credit balance hold on your account until December 1st. We'll only do it typically for a semester at a time so that it expires on December 1st. And the reason December 1st is because in late November, the charges for the fall semester will go on and they will absorb any credit balance that you typically have on your account. And then that credit balance that hold will expire. The credit balance hold doesn't really do anything other than stop the refund from going out to you on that Wednesday when we produce our refund process.
Speaking of books, how does the book award work? It's more of a question. I can answer
Yeah,
that.
I think so too.
So if you did receive a university book award, though that's really treated just like any Xavier grant, Xavier scholarship, Xavier award. It's a credit to your account. You won't be cut a check for the amount of the book grant or the book award to go to the bookstore and physically give that check to pay towards your books. That's going to be a credit to your account, just like your Xavier scholarship would be. So when you are billed, you'll see the reflected balance after those credits have been applied. So just like any other grant or award that you receive from the university. And I believe we did answer.
Hope you don't have vertigo as I move that key.
Yeah, I believe we did answer this question. When will you know if you've been approved for the Parent Plus loan and for how much? That's really in terms of when you apply to the government for it.
The financial aid office would know about it, and the government would know about it. You would know as soon as they know, they'll send you notification. It's usually done by email, and I think the turnaround for an application might be 2 days, a little longer.
Yeah, you're not going to be waiting 3 months or anything
Yeah.
like that. You'll hear back, I believe, with processing and with holidays and whatnot, no more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it usually does happen within a few days to a week.
Yeah, you want to stay ahead of the game on that. So that's a good question to ask.
But if you are thinking of taking out the Parent Plus loan in addition to whatever loan from the FAFSA, the unsubsidized or the subsidized student loan, I would really encourage you to go online now and look into that and start that process before the bill comes out, before we get too far in the process. And educate yourself now on those loans, as well as private loans. If you're thinking about using a private lender, definitely do that research now. And there's some great resources on the financial aid website for that. You can just search financial aid at xavier.edu.
We sent out, or actually the admission office, I think, sent out to all incoming freshmen a letter from my office under my signature about what the current balance was on your account after financial aid was posted.
After those credits, say they're in the form of the grants, in the form of a book award,
or
loans, what the balance that the anticipated bill will be for. That was a physical letter sent in the mail.
Yeah, to the parents of the student.
To the parents.
That's who it was addressed to. So from that letter, you could take whatever that balance due is showing there and say, okay, how am I going to pay that? Do I have enough money every month to divide this by 4, pay the $50 enrollment fee for the payment plan and pay a fourth, and a fourth? Or do I have enough money to pay it in full, lump sum? Great. And if the answer is no to both of those, then that's when you want to start looking into the alternative loans. The Parent Plus loan. Sally Mae has an educational loan that parents or students can apply for. Mostly if a student applies for it, they need a co-signer for those alternative loans. Let's see, your current bank, whoever you bank with, if you have a banking relationship with somebody, you could ask them if they have an educational loan. And what you want to compare is what are the terms, meaning what's the interest rate, when do you have to start paying it back, what's the monthly payment going to be, is it going to be deferred while the student is in school, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and we do on the financial aid website, we do have a list of lenders that our students have worked with before that we know work well with students. So if you go to the financial aid website, again, there's some great information on there and ones that we recommend and have worked with in the past. And again, this is for private loans.
Right.
Did that letter take into account the FAFSA? Yes, it did. So if you received an Ohio Opportunity Grant or you received the Pell Grant, for example, that sometimes they're for different amounts, but if you receive those grants, we take that into account, similar to the amount of a Xavier grant or a Xavier award or scholarship. So that letter that you got, that number on there is after, again, the balance after those credits and the Pell Grant in terms of FAFSA has been credited to your account.
I'd like to address this next question. Geez, how do we get another college to pay our bill? That's a great question. I'm glad you picked up on that. That was very wise of you. Normally, I think what the person was describing is they must have a parent who works at another university. And as a part of that employee's benefit could be tuition remission, what they call tuition remission, if the student goes to another school. So do you have more information on that?
Yeah, so it's if you've been accepted to Xavier and you apply, your parent applies, if your parent works for another university, for either it's called paychecks or tuition exchange, you can be selected to have basically the benefits of a Xavier employee transferred to you as a student. So it would be like your mom or dad worked here at Xavier. You'd receive the discount that a Xavier employee receives for their student. Keep in mind, this actually the deadline for this did already pass. Those were treated like scholarships. We did the review process for them, and really it's sort of an agreement between schools on how it works. If you're eligible from another school, it's the other school who decides if a parent is eligible or not for that, but that is all actually passed already. You might have been making a joke, which good joke if you were making a joke, but if it was about tuition exchange or paychecks, that process is already ended.
It was a joke. I know it. A couple other questions. Irene wanted to know, when did those letters go out? She didn't get hers. They went out on June 2nd, on Friday, June 2nd, and we would have thought that they would have been received, even if you lived far away, probably by the 7th at the latest, so a week ago.
Yes, students in the States have all received their letters. International students may not have received their letters yet, depending on where they live, but
what can she do if she needs another copy of that?
You can contact your admission counselor, and we can let you know where to go from there, and we can print you out another one. It could be because we don't have the right address for you, your home address on file. So if you move, we might have an old address. That does happen with students now and then, that we have the wrong address on file. So that could be the case. So definitely contact your admission counselor, and you can find out who your counselor is online as well, xavier.edu/admissions, and find your counselor that way. We're also on Road to Xavier. We have you've seen my face. If I'm your counselor, you see all the counselors' faces on every single notification from us. So.
This is pretty radical, being able to do this. Cool. Irene, you're welcome. Thanks for that question. Catherine, I wanted to address yours. You said, please repeat the phone number. I'm not sure what phone number you wanted. Is it, if it's the Bursar's phone number, that's 513-745-3435. While I'm at it, I'll give you our website again, which is xavier.edu/Bursar. And that website is full of a bunch of information that will educate you to death, and all you have to do is really learn at one time, and you can even help your colleagues, your other students, your peers with information based on your knowledge. And our email address is xubursar@xavier.edu. The place that you go to sign your master promissory notes online and to do your entrance counseling is studentloans.gov. The phone number for Mason Rick, who is our assistant bursar and does our veterans, does our GI bill students, handles third-party billing, and ROTC, his phone number is 4832. If that's not the phone number you wanted, please type back in and we'll make up another phone number. Were the direct unsubsidized student loans included in the letters you are referring to? Yes, as long as you completed the FAFSA and the financial aid office had produced a financial aid award letter for you, which was on Road to Xavier on the Money Matters tab, then the calculation that went into that letter would have been your anticipated charges and your anticipated financial aid, which would be the information or the money that would have come from the result of the FAFSA being filed. So it would have taken the charges minus that FAFSA information, what you qualified for, to give you the net amount at the bottom of that.
Keep in mind, for FAFSA student loans to be applied to your account, the actual funds to be applied, you have to do your master promissory note and loan entrance counseling. Is that correct?
Correct.
You have to actively do that, and we have sent communication about that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions out there?
One more. We would have time for one more question.
Okay, one more question. It's always one more question. We have no open questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. If you have any more questions, all of our offices are here to help you. Definitely, I'm an admission counselor, so I keep mentioning admissions, but contact us. We can direct you where you need to go if you do have any more questions.
Thanks so much for being a part of this. I hope it was helpful. This is recorded, and will it be available someplace?
This will be available, yeah. So if you want to see this again, you can go to our website and search. We have a really great website and search bar at the top that is a very it'll help you with a lot of different
You're welcome,
things.
Bill.
Search for Muskie Chats, Muskie with an IE, Muskie Chats, and you'll be able to find this video as well as other videos. We have some coming up, but we have already had one about registration, and registration ends, students, on Friday. So if you haven't done your math placement or your foreign language placement exam and registered for classes, make sure you do that. But this will be posted online. Yep.
Good deal.
There you go.
Thank you all. Have a great evening and see you in the fall.
See you later.
Bye-bye.